We're going to do a short flow for opening up the wrists and stretching through the arms, the upper mid back, and shoulders. Especially helpful for you if you're teleworking right now. And even if you're not, we tend to spend a lot of time at the computer over electronics. So this will really just help bring your posture back into alignment, give some relief to those overstretched muscles. So let's get started. Join me in a hands and knees position. Just right here is fine, and make sure that your fingertips are facing forward. And let's get a little nerdy for a moment. Keeping the middle fingers actually facing straight forward. So just notice your hand placement here. And then before we start any movement, I'd like you to bring a little bit of energy into your hands. So instead of just pressing straight into those wrists and bearing lots of pressure, instead really stretch and spread your hands as wide as those fingers can go. And then I want you to bend your fingers a little bit, like you're trying to scrunch your mat under you. And you're gonna feel the most pressure in your thumbs, forefingers or pointer fingers, and your pinkies. And I'd like you to maintain that pressure, in fact. Now, I have my toes tucked under because I love the foot stretch. I figure, let's go for gold, right? Let's do both. But you can certainly place those toes under if you prefer. I just want to stretch my wrist and my feet at the same time. Now from here, what you're going to do is you're going to start to just rock. You're going to rock back and you might get that lovely foot stretch. And as you rock forward, I want you to go a little bit past. So the shoulders go beyond the wrist, and then rock back again. And rock forward. And then just start to use your breath. Quite honestly, there are benefits to breathing in here and out at the back. But likewise, there are also benefits to breathing in back here, letting that back really expand, and exhale, pulling your chest forward. So let your body choose the one it wants today. And then just keep moving. I'm going to do a few more reps here. I don't know why, but my mind starts to sing like row, row, row your boat. If you know me at all, there's constantly a song in my head of some sort. And again, we're just going to keep that slight pressure, like we're trying to scrunch the mat under our hands so we have some pressure. I sometimes call it like the froggy grip, right? You have the little frog pads for fingers. And just one more time here. Stretch forward and come to center. Good. Go ahead, sit back on those feet. They'll get a little stretch here for a second. Shake the water off your hands, all right? And then reverse the way you're shaking. Come back to your hands and knees. This time, we're going to bring the wrists into a different position. So the hands are going to go perpendicular to the mat, or fingertips facing the long edge. Okay, and again, try to get those middle fingers lined up so they make a straight line crossing your mat. Your hands are still directly under your shoulders, and you're going to put those froggy pads back in. So a little bit of grip into the mat. And here again, you're going to stretch back and stretch forward. This one happens to be my favorite. I really just like getting into those side wrist muscles. I think we ignore them too often. We're all about the flexion and extension, if you will, or lots of flexion, hovering over keyboards and mouses and gripping our phones. So let's just take a moment and undo all of that. And here again, just trying to keep those middle fingers lined up, rocking through. You can create as much pressure here as you like, or as little. It's the beauty of this particular position. We're just gently flossing or massaging through the wrist. Now, come on back to the feet. Get that stretch. Maybe you can go back there and say, okay, pinky toes, come on, give some space. And then shake the water off your hands. And then shake them the other way. And now we're going to go again. This time, you're going to go fingertips facing you. Now for some of you, just getting here might be enough, and maybe this is where you stay. If that's the case, just remember to breathe, okay? And you're gonna feel a beautiful stretch here Now, if it's available to you, you're gonna rock back and rock forward. And you'll notice this time it's probably the rock back. That's a little bit more work. You're gonna try to keep those palms connected to the earth. Still a little bit of a froggy grip, but you're not gonna be able to get as much of a grip in this position, so don't stress that. Just let it go. We're just thinking about stretching those forearm muscles, and they're gonna be tight in this position because it's the exact opposite of how our hands and wrist and forearms are usually shaped as we are hunkered over all those electronics. So just trying to open up there. Good. And now bring it back. Take a moment, sit back, clasp your hands together and draw some circles and then draw them the other way. Good. So far, so good, right? Awesome. So from here, let's go to the wrist or to the fist and set them down. Good. And here, what I want you to do is just pull one knee up and then the other knee up. So this is a way to start putting some pressure into the wrist. Notice that subtle change in the weight bearing side. So as I float up my right knee, my right wrist, all of a sudden takes on more weight. And then when I pull up my left knee, the left wrist takes on more weight. And this is just a gentle way to put some weight bearing into your wrist and help build the bone density without stressing your wrist to the max. Okay, plus it's kind of great core exercises if you're paying attention to what's going on in your core. So just really drawing up through that abdomen to float that knee up. You'll notice very small movement through my back. And then one more. And then relax. Come on back to those feet. Good. This time, clasp the hands together. Bring the hands towards you and then take the palms away. Stretching those away. And we just happen to be in a little bit of a lightning pose while we're at it, stretching the feet, stretching the hands. If this is too much for your feet, you can always come up, hips off, work that glute a little bit, holding you in a hip extension, or you can untuck the feet and sit back down. Whatever works best for you. And then go ahead and bring this down. So we're gonna make our way onto the floor all the way. I usually just cross my legs, sit back on my heels and roll my feet out from under me, but you make your way onto the floor however it best suits you. And then we're gonna come into just a seated position. Feet can be sits bones width apart or hip width apart. Take the hands, place them back so that the fingertips are facing away from you. Now here, some of you might have enough challenge just getting in this position. Now my classes used to tease me, I have weird, quirky cues. That's okay. I did just have my collarbone like pop, so that was beautiful. My chest just opened up a little bit more. But I call this the 1940s pinup model. Okay, so I want you to really kind of stick the chest up and press the floor down in a way and feel those shoulder blades squeeze and hug your spine. And then I want you to just round. And as you round, those hands stay glued, but notice those shifts and stretches that start to take place, almost like a spiraling sensation from the hand up through the wrist, forearm, into the biceps and triceps, the upper arm, and into the shoulders and the chest and collarbone. So you're in a 1940s pinup model, and then roll the abdominals in towards the spine, rounding the spine. You feel kind of your shoulders hunker in. You're probably used to that sensation. And then go ahead and find that lift. So we're just working the spiral of the arm. I often like to envision a barbershop pole, those red stripes that go around the pole. And it's almost like those red stripes are those muscles wrapping around my arm from wrist to shoulder, and you just feel the spiraling up and the spiraling down. Go ahead and come on up, shake the water off your hands for a second, and then bring your fingertips to face you. Good. Now this time bring your hands a little bit closer, so they're almost closer to your hips than away from you. And then here again, 1940s pinup model, and then round. And then lift You'll just notice the spiral changes a little bit. There's nothing like hugely different here. It's just that I find I get a different sensation on the stretch. Instead of the inside of my wrist stretching, it's the outside of my wrist getting more of a stretch. And it changes also in the stretch of the upper arm and upper back a little bit. And one more time. Coming up and through. Go ahead. Sit all the way up. Shake the water off your hands. Go ahead. Move around so that you're facing forward. And let's take a moment here for the wrists. So let's take the wrists and present me your paws, if you will, and your palms. Great. From here, trying to keep that flat hand, rotate the hands up and rotate the fingers down. Now, notice that my hands are about chest height. They're not any higher because that will just pull some more demand into your shoulders, and I want to keep it in your wrist as much as possible today. So hands beneath the chest, like at the chest line, and take it down and take it up. Just kind of flossing here. And then here, show me your palms, give me high five each side, but now show me your rings. Show me the palms, show me the rings. Good. And again, palms, really pull back through those fingers, and then pull back, middle fingers towards the wrist as much as possible. And one more time. Good. Now, make circles. And make them the other way. Bring your hands to clasp, palms together. And I want you to draw a figure 8. So if you think about your knuckles drawing a figure 8 on the ceiling, draw a figure 8. And let those hands kind of press into each other, almost opposing each other. And then can you do it the other way? The brain has to think about that one, right? And then relax, shake it off. Beautiful. Take the right arm, or I guess it would be your left arm if you're mirroring me. Pull it across the body. Take your other hand, just gently cusp your upper arm, and then pull that arm back towards you. Now, notice something here as you're stretching, and maybe you need to correct yourself. Oftentimes I see folks fling this arm over, and as they grab a hold of this arm, they don't just pull the upper arm towards them, they pull up and back, and that shoulder ends up way up here by their ears. I would like you to put your shoulder back down, please, and then just pull back on the arm and breathe. One more deep breath in and out. Now bring this around to the other side. So if your hand is level with your shoulder, bring it across that plane. Here, when it needs a little bit more help, that hand cusp the upper, or the lower arm, I should say, right beneath the elbow. And here again, we just pull straight back. So this arm is almost doing an arm curl. What we want to avoid is the shove up. Arm curl, pull that arm back. And breathe. You might be really tight through here. That's to be expected. One more deep breath in and out. Bring it around. Now, take your left arm, wave high over your head. Hey, here I am. And then bend the elbow and take that hand and place it right beneath the nape of your neck. It usually can touch right around your t-shirt line at the collar. And then take your right hand, loop it up over your head, and just let your bicep hug your ear, let your arm rest on your head. And then take those fingers, grab a hold of that elbow, and just gently pull back so that the fingertips go more so down your back. So for us ladies, for instance, our fingertips would go from our t-shirt line to maybe a little bit more towards the bra line. Okay, for you dudes, t-shirt line to a little bit more in between your shoulder blades. And then notice if your ribs start to really stick out. Can you pull them back under? Oh, the core has to work again, right? Now, if being on the floor is uncomfortable, at this point you can be in a chair. There's no need to be on the floor. Or you can be sitting on a pillow or a block. That's more comfortable for you. And now go ahead and release that. Let's do this on the other side. So lift the hand high, bend the elbow, take that hand, and notice my arm is staying close to my head. It's not out here somewhere. And then bring this bicep up to touch your ear, bend the elbow, grab a hold of that other elbow, and see if you can just use your fingertips to push that elbow back towards that wall behind you. And then here's where we think about, where are my ribs? Pull them back under. Engage your core and breathe. And opening this upper body, allowing the body, it's not a strenuous workout we're doing right now, it's just allowing the body to breathe and finding some space where we usually have lots of tension can really nourish your parasympathetic nervous system. So it brings you a calm, it grounds you, and helps you breathe a little deeper. So all the good nervous system impulses, let that go. Now we're going to come back to the other side for just a moment. So right hand goes up, or your left hand, and then take this back. Now we're going to take your opposite hand, your right hand, bring it around. And at this point, I'm going to bend my elbow so that the back of my hand, my knuckles, sweep up my waist and up my spine. And I'm going to see if I can connect my fingertips. Now I'm going to turn to the side. You stay where you are. Some of you might actually connect. If you can connect, avoid grasping your fingers and pulling in tight. See if you can keep your fingers open, your palms open, and just let the hands overlap if they can. Now notice your spine. Some people, in trying to get the fingers together, will hunch or banana back. I would prefer your hands stay further apart, but you're in perfect posture, versus your hands together and you look like a caveman. So find where you can be, and in here we breathe. Also here you can use a towel, t-shirt, washcloth, whatever, to hold between your two hands. And then sometimes this is a great one to do with a partner, because they can guide your elbows and help your fingertips get a little closer. Because this one's a difficult one if your posture has been suffering from computer slumbasana. Just keep breathing. And then let this go. And then I always like to follow this up with a little twist. So the hand that was on the bottom, take that hand across your body, let it touch your other knee, let it gently pull that knee in, and then give yourself a little twist, looking over your back shoulder, which was the arm that was overhead. And then come all the way back around and through. And we're going to do that on the other side. So face you again. So this time your right hand's going to go up, bend the elbow, touch your t-shirt line, and your left hand is going to bend at the elbow so that you start to bring your fingertips, your knuckles will scrape past your waistband up your spine until you can see if maybe you can get those fingertips to touch. And again, I prefer posture over fingers touching, so be wherever. And I also apply some pressure. So when I'm here, my bottom hand, the knuckles touching, I kind of push into my back to really help accentuate opening the chest here. And then my t-shirt line hand, I'm also pushing into my back. So it's like, lift up, Jamie. And drop those ribs under so they're not flaring forward. And breathe. Trying to stay here for at least 5 breaths, letting the muscles have time to open, their space to stretch and breathe. Not just flinging through the stretches. No need to hurry. And then you are going to gently relax, so the bottom hand unwinds first. And let that bottom hand go ahead and come all the way around to touch the opposite knee. Let it pull that knee in, but the knee's going to resist. It's going to stay down. So there's a dynamic opposition happening there. Okay, one is pulling, one is pushing, and help facilitate that stretch and that twist, looking over your back shoulder, which was your top hand. Take a nice deep breath in and a deep breath out. And then come back around through center. Good. You're going to meet me one more time on your mat, hands and knees. So the first thing we're gonna do is take your left hand and place it under your knee. And then if you have any rings on, that might be a good time to take it off. And at first I just press into the palm of my hand. So I'm gonna use my knee as a massaging tool. And then I move my knee up into like the meat of my thumb and fingers. And then you can move your knee up more into the base of the wrist. And just kind of gently rock the knee and then work your way back into the meat of the thumb, base of the hand, and then into the palm. And then we're going to do that on the other side. So hand goes under the knee. The knee is first going to kind of massage through the finger bases, the boniest part of your hand, right there into the palm. And then you move that knee up into that base of the thumb and the meat of the hand. And then you move that knee up a little bit more into your wrist. Just gently apply pressure. There's no need to like crush gravel here. And then you're going to again massage into the base of the hand, into the palm itself, and then back into those finger bases. And then release. One more final stretch here. This time do flatten out your toes so that the tops of your feet rest on the mat. Make sure that your knees are about hip width apart, maybe even a little bit wider. Go ahead and rest your right hand into the center of the mat, kind of beneath your nose. And here again, put that froggy palm back in. So really spread the fingers, cup the hand like you're creating a suction cup under your palm, and feel that power. So it's not just the wrist, it's the whole hand and arm working together. Now on your inhale, lift your left hand up. On your exhale, draw your abdominals in, curving your spine, thread your left hand through that eye of the needle until you come to rest on your shoulder round. And then let the top of your head or the right there above your ear touch the mat. Your right hand can now move away from its space and it's there in front of your face. And maybe you gently press the floor away. If it's in your practice, you can take that hand up and reach for the sky, bend the elbow, let the knuckles scrape past your spine and take a half bind. If that doesn't feel good, just come back to fingers on the floor. One more deep breath in and out. And bring that hand up, bring it around, touch the floor. Use your right hand to push your body weight back up. Keep going, let that left hand go back up to the sky for one more stretch there, and then back to the floor. We're gonna do the other side. Bring the left hand in underneath of the nose. Cup the hand, make your froggy hand, create that power through the entire palm. And on your inhale, lift the right hand up, reach for the sky. And then exhale, scoop the abdominals in around the spine. Let that right hand come through the eye of the needle. Find home base on your shoulder and then allow your ear, the top of your ear, to come to the floor. Once you've hit there, that left hand can push the floor away and create a little bit more stretch. If it's in your practice, that hand can float up. You can bend the elbow, taking your knuckles to scrape past your waist. And then once you're there, you kind of push those knuckles into your waist and send your elbow back, really opening the chest. Again, if this is not in your practice, that's okay. You can always go back to the seated version of shoulder stretches. Come back up through with that hand. Take your hand to the floor. Use that hand to push your body up. Come back to hands and knees. From here, take your tush back to child's pose. Open up those knees. Toes are together. Go ahead and bring your hands as far forward as possible on the mat. Now here, if you have a towel, you can stick it in between your thighs and your calves to give you some bolster if this knee flexion is uncomfortable for you. Once you're here, really stretch those hands forward. Feel your armpits open up. And then let your head rest. Forehead to the floor, okay, or chin to the floor is also okay. Now, place all 10 fingertips on the floor and then lift the wrist up off the floor like you're playing a piano piece. So act like you're Beethoven playing the piano. So the wrists are up, the fingertips are down. Take 2 more breaths here. Now place the wrists back on the floor. Stretch those arms as long as they possibly can go. And then keeping your wrist glued to the floor, lift the fingertips up like you're gonna high five somebody across the mat. Or you have jazz hands, and in fact, wave them. Wave your hands. Bring the fingertips back to the floor. Pull yourself up out of child's pose. Make your way back onto your tush. And here at this point, you can be done your practice today. Or if you'd like to do a Shavasana, and take a few more moments to breathe and relax and seal your practice, just find your way onto your back, or the most comfortable position for you, and take some time to breathe. Enjoy.